Right, you ready?
I was born ready.
You thought we were going to do one episode. We've actually got a second episode. The Unbiased Formula 1 podcast. We're back for Bahrain Grand Prix. Wow, wasn't that a pretty intense race? Just saying. Wasn't expecting to do a second episode, but here we are, talking about one of the greatest races in recent history, I'd say.
I'd say it's the best race I've seen in a long time.
Very good. So stay tuned and roll the intro. It's bits like that which are awkward.
It is.
But when you cut that out, in the actual bit.
Well, let's say we're coming out the intro, real quick. You know how I've been saying I haven't been wearing my shirt?
Yep.
I lied.
Oh, that was
It's back.
slightly scripted last time.
Not this time. Last time, completely scripted, not this time.
That's quite an old shirt though.
This is
We'll let you off.
from 2015 or 16.
We'll let you off this time because you're basically a meme anyway.
I am a meme. That's my life goal. I want to be a meme.
All right, so welcome back, Unbiased Formula 1 podcast. We are talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix. So, in terms of qualifying, Johnny Vic, pretty exciting session.
Pretty straightforward, I found, but pretty good still.
It was an exciting session. Charles Leclerc, here's a stat for you. 99th different driver to get pole position in the 999th championship race.
I loved that. Yeah, I saw that. Talking about that was a good start. I really liked that a lot.
So many nines in that stat. Let's get straight to the race start then. In terms of the race start, pretty chaotic race.
Very chaotic.
But at the start, Vettel jumps Leclerc and Bottas somehow squeezes down the inside as well.
I mean, it was just, Bottas and Vettel got much better starts than Charles and Lewis. I mean, it's just been, they just took off. Like, you see when they show the replays after 15 laps, because there was so much going on the first couple of laps, you just see them, they just shoot off. Vettel, takes the lead pretty commandingly straight away, but yeah, I mean.
And Bottas got past Hamilton as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
Hamilton, he's been struggling with starts recently, Lewis. Not sure whether that's a Lewis thing or is it a Mercedes thing, because Bottas has had rapid starts recently.
Well, it's been like that, hasn't it? I mean, Bottas has been really good at starts for Mercedes. Like, he's been brilliant. I mean, obviously, it was Austria a couple of years ago. I think we mentioned that in the first podcast.
0.2 second reaction time, I think, on that one.
How he did that was just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lewis, I think he's always had problems with his starts. I remember back in his McLaren days as well, he wasn't always the quickest off the line, but still the quickest driver. Like, he's a brilliant driver, so it doesn't always matter. So.
And in terms of Bottas, he gets second, but I think he locks up into turn one, loses the position to Leclerc. Leclerc goes straight past him, and then he's on a defensive into that DRS zone. Are we still good?
Yeah, it's not seeming to pick up any audio. You could have carried on that.
So we'll feel for this next 30 seconds where there's technical difficulties.
Mental.
Can we just mention, we haven't mentioned the setup here. This is a temporary setup, as you might see. I have tried to improvise. Johnny Vic is improvising by putting the mic in the back of your shoe.
It's working.
That's an unorthodox
way.
We'll start that again. That's an unorthodox way of putting your mic. But yeah, so Bottas loses out. He gets to second, and you think, hang on, Bottas 2.0, this is it. And then he bottles it. And Bottas 2018 comes out.
That's going to be a thing, the Bottas bottle.
He's come back from last year, I think. That was poor.
Yeah, it was not a good race from him. Like, after Australia, the odds on him winning this one look big, and then he's just gone and done.
It's quite a strong track for Bottas, actually, isn't it? Because he's had a couple of pole positions. I think his first ever pole position was Bahrain.
He's meant to be good at Bahrain.
Has he won at Bahrain? I don't think he has.
I don't think he's won. No,
Vettel has.
Vettel won two in the past 2 years. Well, not before this year. Vettel won the last two. Rosberg, and then Hamilton won two.
Bahrain's a very good track. We've spoken before. It's the duel in the desert. I think it was
fantastic.
2014 was the Mercedes.
15, yeah.
That was a crazy, really, really good race. Even though it was the two Mercedes, that was pretty good. But It was, I think, with the race start, we were talking during the race. We couldn't take our eyes off it. I was like, we're trying to aim for a half an hour podcast here. Probably are going to run over half an hour because the whole race really, I was off my sofa for the first 15 laps. Like, what the hell's going to happen? Yeah. It was ridiculous.
I was eating at the time. We were having a nice family meal. My grandma came down. We cooked some really nice chicken and some casserole, all real nice. Having dessert. Real good brownie for dessert, and I was just the whole time up, like trying to watch the race because it was mad.
Were you? Did you see the start?
Yeah, I watched the start. Yeah, I literally just got up. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not sitting here. I'm watching the start.
See, what I would do in that position is just sit in the space on the table where you can just about see the TV. I've sussed that out at home. I sit on the table where you can just about see the TV.
Well, we've moved into a new house, and we have like a whole new conservatory bit where it just sits next to the living room, but the only space where you can see the TV well, my sister decided to take that seat. So I was like, great.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I asked her nicely, can I sit there, please? No. All right.
Is she even an F1 fan?
No, not really. She's the younger one.
Sort yourself out. What was her name?
Amelia.
Seriously, sort yourself out.
Like she's going to watch this anyway.
She probably will.
She will.
We actually got about 70, 80 views on the last one. I'm surprised. She probably wasn't one of them.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't even know I do this.
I'm pretty sure you were sat behind your computer hitting F5 like 20 times just to boost up the stats. Enough about your hitting F5 habits. Lap 5, Leclerc does Vettel. I was literally off my sofa here, the outside of turn 1.
Before we address that, I want to say Max almost taking Lewis as well. You know, at the start. Almost. I mean, he got right up there through the first corner.
Three abreast, I think.
Yeah, it was very close, and I was very nervous because if he did, that would have been. You know, I don't think Lewis would have got the win that race because it's Max.
I think Lewis did brush Leclerc's tyre as well with his front wing.
I think they had a tiny little touch, but
normally 9 times out of 10 that's a puncture and you're into the pits. But that one time, Leclerc...
Yeah, it's just a little brush, yeah.
After the first lap, you thought, he's bottled it. Vettel was going to go off into the sunset. But
he really took off though, did he?
I think he pulled a gap of like 3 seconds, but then...
it was never enough. Like, Leclerc was just so dominant that race. That 3 seconds just turned into, within DRS zone. Yeah. As soon as the DRS zone came up.
I think, talking about the DRS, there was 3 DRS zones. I think the one into turn 4, 5... the one immediately after the pit straight.
3, after
the short straight before the middle sector. Yeah. That one was really overpowered, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Because everyone was passing everybody down there, even without DRS.
It's a very wide corner going into turn 4 there, so it's an overtaking place anyway. But with DRS, they were getting it done so easily. And
Leclerc does Vettel on lap 5. He was close, and I was watching Sky, and Brunda was like, "Oh, he's close. He's not close enough." And then literally got the DRS in the slipstream. It was like a second, but it was about 9 tenths behind. But when he sat in the slipstream, he just got so close, sold Vettel the dummy, and I think he braked super late. I was expecting him to look up so much.
That's what I was saying. I was saying to my dad, that was such a professional move. Like that's a veteran's move. He outbraked him. Like it was amazing.
You'd almost think he was a professional racing driver, pulling a professional move. We can edit that out. This is the expertise that people are watching for, and comparisons from Lewis Hamilton and Ricciardo to James Hunt. You won't find that anywhere else. Do you want to quickly address the situation with James Hunt and Ricciardo?
I'm not going to address it because I stand by what I said.
So you still stand by?
I stand by it.
I mean, I have to admit, I did take that completely out of context.
You're completely out of context.
I mean, I posted a 6-second story where it was you saying, if you mix James Hunt and... if you mix Ricciardo and Hamilton, you get James Hunt. And I had so many people replying to my story like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I was like, might be a little bit out of context.
Just a little bit. No, it was, when I say professional, it's like
it was
a
very good move.
Veteran move, I think Hamilton did it. Hamilton against Vettel when he made that move. We'll talk about that.
We'll get onto that. There's a lot of stuff to cover in this race.
But it's that sort of move, that you expect from more experienced drivers, not a guy who's in his second year with a brand new team, second race for him.
And lap 5 was pretty chaotic actually. We had Sainz as well moving on Verstappen. We talked about this briefly in the lift in the stadium. I think it was Verstappen's fault because he touched the curb and he went wide, and then he just went into Sainz. I think Sainz probably would have had the position in the McLaren.
got it stuck because he would have got the inside line going into the hairpin corner, but because Verstappen went over the curb, went a bit too wide because obviously he couldn't turn in enough after hitting the curb. He hits him and then pushes him off, and then Sainz gets a bit unlucky with the
Very
front
unlucky.
wing, was it, or was it?
I think he lost his front wing, but he also there was maybe a suspension problem.
Yeah,
Because he went to turn, and it just nothing happened, and he just went straight. I felt really sorry for him because McLaren had really good pace this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get on to Lando Norris in the top 10. He had a very good race.
Mention real quick though, like that's the one that I want to mention later on, but definitely already 2 races in, case for Rookie of the Year, like one of the best rookies we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think people forget Kevin Magnussen on his debut got a podium
No way.
in 2014, the old
Oh,
McLaren.
with McLaren,
'Cause
yeah.
It was a Mercedes. I think one of the Mercedes retired, and he definitely got third. And I think Ricciardo finished second. Then Ricciardo got third, and then Ricciardo got disqualified in 2014.
Oh really?
Yeah, and then there was a whole. Did you not watch that race?
I can't
This was like
remember.
5 years ago, but still,
I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday.
we've still got I've got Magnussen to talk about, but I think after that Verstappen Sainz incident, there was quite a bit of in the midfield. There was a lot of battling, and like across not just at the front. There was a lot of midfield battles.
I mean, this was the first race in a long time where you had a battle, not just like a lot of battles going on in the midfield. There were battles at the back as well.
Even the Williams were
Yeah, the
racing
Williams
each other.
were
The
racing
Williams
each
were
other.
battling each other.
And then there was the battles obviously up front as well. Like it was the perfect race. Like for even people who like don't really watch Formula One much, you turn it on, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be glued to it.
Even our cameraman Adam watched the race. He he didn't watch the race. I think he was watching the football, but he watched the highlights.
Keeping up with it. My friend Paisley, she doesn't watch Formula One. She started watching it, but mainly because of Leclerc. Like she was watching it, and then after the race, she saw him take off his helmet, and then she was like, "I'm in love.
I'm in love with F1.
I'm in love. No, in love with Leclerc. That's it.
Just Leclerc.
Just Leclerc."
There is a Twitter account called Vettel Leclerc. I'm pretty sure they won't be watching this. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but there is an account called Vettel Leclerc, and that was made like 3 years ago. So they probably have the lottery numbers for this weekend. So if you want to get in touch, please do. Lap 10 was a pretty early pit stop from both Red Bulls, I believe. And I think I heard it in commentary. I think Brundle said there was a slow puncture.
Yeah.
Was it
a slow
for
punch
Verstappen?
from Max? Yeah, he had a
Yeah.
very slow punch that they saw, which was pretty impressive. Like, that's the thing. Like Formula, like the computers nowadays can see those things. Because back in the day, that would have been, you would have got the puncher later on, it'd be done. So the fact that they saw that he came in, because I think they said that he was the first of the front runners. The Red Bulls were the first of the front runners to pit, but I think Perez, was the first one to pit. Like he pit on like 9 or something.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
that.
Max came in to pit because of that, and then I think that sort of changed everyone's strategies. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think most drivers were going to go for a 1-stop, but because he came in so early, it triggered everyone else, and they changed to the 2-stop.
That's what I have written down about. Literally, Verstappen and Gasly's stops triggered everybody else because they thought he's stopping early to go like ultra aggressive and like undercut everyone else. But
He got it done on Bottas, didn't he? Or like kind of got it.
yeah, Bottas came in the next lap to cover him, but he jumped Bottas. But then I think Bottas got past, but we didn't see that. I don't think we saw that battle. There was so much action
There
throughout
was
the whole
so
race.
much going on everywhere else. They were kind of like, that's not really too important.
And Verstappen did jump him, and then Bottas got past.
Do you think they didn't show it though because like they don't think the Red Bulls are really that much of a challenge anymore because they got the Honda engines?
Is that a conspiracy theory from you?
It could be. I mean, before with the Renault engines, they were competitors.
Yeah.
Now they don't really care too much about them.
We'll get on to Renault spoiling Red Bull's day right at the very end of the race. We'll get on to that. They literally stopped Verstappen from getting a podium. But lap 13 was probably one of my funniest moments, probably in my opinion, one of the funniest moments of the race when Kvyat got spun by Giovinazzi. And you sent me a message immediately after. Literally as it happened, I looked down, my phone went off. I just see Kvyat spinning off, and I look at my phone, and it just says a message from you like, it's the 2 worst drivers on the grid have just crashed there. A bit harsh on Kvyat, but
I mean,
we could agree on Giovinazzi.
Yeah,
Probably the least.
definitely like the least. I mean,
They're all talented, but
like I said last podcast, even the worst driver on the grid is still one of the most talented drivers in the world. But you know, he's been with the Ferrari program as a reserve driver for what, 3 years? He should be better than he is, but obviously it's different just doing testing to actually being in a car racing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There was no penalty for that as well.
Yeah, I think they realised because it was a bit of the both fault more. I think because you're saying it was Giovinazzi's own fault, wasn't you? Like you were saying.
I think it is Giovinazzi's fault. Yeah.
But I think the fact that they didn't give a penalty is what I was saying. I think it's more Kvyat closing the door too much on him because obviously not giving a pen when he spun. I think they realised that's a racing incident. That's more his fault, so he got the punishment for it anyway. You good?
Yeah, I know. I'm just checking to see what we've had to have a bit of a weird setup this week because lack of how can I put this? Lack of equipment, lack of resources, and a bit of lack of organisation. Really.
You've mentioned this already.
Yeah, but in one shot, Johnny had the mic in his shoe, and now he has it in between his legs. So we're going to brush over that.
Please, just don't mention it.
You had a little bit of a sore foot or something.
My knee was just how did I leg up like that.
Well, we want to have you on most of the episodes, so if you wouldn't get injured, that would be.
I'm not going to get injured from doing that.
But yeah, I do think.
I get an injury in my leg. I can't do a podcast anymore.
Can't sit on the sofa. I do believe that it was Giovinazzi's fault. Though.
I think he definitely didn't turn in, but I think Kvyat didn't leave him enough space. He sort of brought it upon himself. Giovinazzi could have done more as well. He should have left. Like if a more experienced driver would have seen that Kvyat was closing the door a bit too much and would have backed off, but Giovinazzi kept there, and that was his problem. He didn't. Yeah. He tried to go for it even when he shouldn't have. So I
think it was he put his hand up as well, didn't he? He did like the little wave to Kvyat. Yeah. But I think the drivers on the inside get blamed for like almost every incident where someone turns in. You've got to turn at some point for the corner.
Yeah,
and Kvyat was basically on the outside of the track, and he couldn't be any further outside because he'd be off track limits. Yeah. And Giovinazzi just didn't really turn enough. I don't think. I think it was his fault, and there was no penalty for that. But they've been taking quite a relaxed view on penalties this season, especially.
I think as well they didn't give a penalty because Kvyat he already had a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, really? Yeah, he got 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. So they made the decision on that one after he had that penalty. So I think they made it based off that.
And then in lap 15 there was quite a bit of pit lane action with Hamilton. He came into.
Was he lap 14? Did he come in, or was it 15?
Lap 15.
He came in 15. Yeah.
Yep. And
did the undertake on.
Yeah, Hamilton stops in attempt to undercut Vettel, and Vettel stops at the end of lap 15. So lap 16 he comes in, and he comes up behind Hamilton. So Hamilton completed the undercut where he
done solidly as well, didn't he? Like about a second and a half in front, wasn't he when Vettel came out?
Yeah. So basically, for anyone that doesn't know F1, the undercut is if I'm stuck behind Johnny Vick on track, I'm going to come into the pit lane, put on a fresh set of tyres, and hope that my outlap on fresh tyres is going to be quicker than your lap on old tyres. So if I do a quick lap and you come in the pit lane, by the time I've come out and I've put in a banger of a lap, I'll be out in front. And that's what happened.
Yeah, and especially because Hamilton put on the softs as well. Whilst everyone else was going on the mediums, only him and someone else went on the softs, which meant he was definitely going for a two-stopper. Yeah. I think everyone else went for the mediums because they thought, can do the one-stopper, but they came in earlier. So
I think everybody went for a one-stopper originally, but then when Verstappen stopped, everybody was like, oh, God.
Like, okay, change strategy now.
Yeah. And then Grosjean retires again. I mean, well, we missed out the incident at the start with Stroll.
Yes. That little incident with Stroll. Was it him or Stroll went off? Stroll went off, didn't he?
Stroll tagged Grosjean. I think Grosjean went off. Grosjean went off. He had the puncture.
And then he must have had some damage from that because slow damage.
He came into the pit lane and retired. So I think it probably was like floor damage or something. As when you damage the floor, you just lose so much downforce.
And that's why Hamilton wasn't quick enough in Melbourne. They said after the race it was because he had some floor damage. And
in the sandbags off the back of the back of the car, and Hamilton gets passed by Vettel literally maybe on the same lap or maybe 2 laps later. I think in the DRS we'd mentioned the DRS zone into turn 4, so overpowered.
Yeah, but it was just so weird how slow that Mercedes was on those soft tyres. Like he he was not competitive at all on those soft tyres. But then later on in the race, when he pits again for the mediums, he's suddenly super quick again. Like, it's so weird. I think they're going to address that definitely.
Yeah.
Like they'll look into that, why that happened. But yeah,
They've simplified the tyre compounds this year as well, which I think is much better.
I understand it now because I like how they just have the 3, but they've changed the colours. So you know, we talk about softs, you think the yellow tyres, but yellow's now the mediums.
Because last year they had like 7 different compounds. We had like hyper soft, ultra soft, super soft, soft, medium, hard, and then intermediates and wets. Just keep it simple. So we've got hard, medium, soft.
Yeah. But then they still have like with each one, even though they kept it simple with the soft, medium, hards, it's still like there's a C7 and C6. So like there's 2 different versions of each one. So like, you know, like the highest like C whatever for the softs is like proper soft. You know, that's quicker than the C6, whatever it is. I don't know exactly.
The testing tyre compounds was proper weird anyway. And lap 30, I've written this down. Stroll unlaps himself on Verstappen, and I had a real throwback to Brazil last year.
I think everyone did. I think either Crofty or Martin Brundle. Martin Brundle, that's his name.
Yes, it is Martin Brundle. Who are you thinking of?
No, it just doesn't sound right.
Martin Brundle, yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't. You know,
I mean, Brundle
back when he
was
was running. There was a Brundle. There was him, and then there was
Brundle.
Brundle.
Yeah, that's the Brundle.
I got the same thing actually. Yeah, where
Well, we are using the same documents, so I mean, most of this is my notes. I just didn't know. I didn't put laps down, so I copied the number of your laps and I put that in, so it looks like we've actually done some work.
Oh shit! Someone did some work.
Can I just say, during this we both had this issue during the race. There was so much happening. I was trying to watch it, and I'd put like, Vettel pits, and then someone's crashed, and Hamilton's in. There was so much going on.
Yeah, I mean,
we struggled to keep up.
Like, I didn't start taking notes until it started like calm down after lap 15, because obviously we have nothing from lap 15 to lap 30 because it kind of calmed down a bit then. And that was the only time I could really catch up on the notes, and I had to go into the F1 app to see, you know, do the lap by lap, see exactly what, like how to explain everything. But yeah, it was
because obviously Stroll unlapping himself.
Yeah.
In a racing point, can't call them Force India. Nathan Wade, I know you're watching. One of my friends, Nathan, he sent me a message saying, "Oh, you called them Force India." I think everybody calls them Force India anyway. So
Nathan, you got a sick name.
Nathan Wade. Well, his username on Instagram is Wathan Nade because he swaps the W and the N. We actually go karting quite a bit, and I beat him by 3 seconds a lap the other day. Just saying, everybody cares. I was actually going to make a video, side note, with Sebastian Job, Star of Racer, me, and Nathan. That might be coming soon, but we'll have to wait and see.
Sebastian, where did you go again? What was it?
Might have gone to Mexico, but yeah, you can check out the link in the bio.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know.
There's going to be a card here somewhere, so you can click on that and watch the Mexico episode. I think I plugged it 2 times in a row. That's going to be a running joke now of me just plugging that.
Plugging that and talking about Mexico.
Mexico's a lovely country. Buenos dias to everyone who's watching from Mexico.
No one.
Look.
No, you're right. Sergio Perez is watching this.
Sergio Perez, Checo, buenos dias, ¿qué tal? How are you doing? Lap 35. Lap 35, Hamilton pits. Vettel covers next lap for new tyres.
Yeah.
They're going for their second stop because obviously they pitted really early.
Yeah.
So this was their...
Hamilton goes on to the mediums, then Vettel stays on the new set of mediums.
Yeah.
And then, like you put in the notes here, they have an epic battle because, like I said, Hamilton comes out on these mediums so much quicker than the softs. Like, it was incredible because he came out behind Vettel, didn't he? Like, he was quite far behind.
Yeah.
He pits first and he still comes out behind Vettel. Couldn't get the undercut done this time, but he just caught him quick.
I think it was really weird. The Mercedes had really good pace on the medium or the softs. They were bad on the softs.
They were bad on the softs, really.
And the
good
mediums,
they
were rapid.
Yeah.
That's proper weird.
Lewis was. Bottas.
Well,
I'm not even going to get into Bottas.
We'll talk about Bottas sneaking a podium at the end. Spoiler alert. Lap 38, Vettel has a right ding-dong battle with Hamilton, and we'll get onto the incident. But I think Hamilton was in the DRS zone trying to overtake.
So it's coming down because he could have got it done on down the pit straight, but because they were behind Bottas at the time, Vettel also had DRS. So he got DRS coming from Bottas.
Yeah, Bottas. I think was Bottas holding up Vettel on the back straight.
I think he was trying to hold him up because he was pitting that lap, so he was trying to hold him up so Hamilton can get the pass done on that back straight, but then he didn't get it done. So Vettel obviously got the DRS from Bottas.
That was a weird move because they're trying to back him up, but in the DRS detection zone, obviously Vettel was within a second, so he'll have DRS, which actually disadvantages Lewis majorly. So I don't see the point in that. I'm sure, James, if you're watching from Mercedes, please do put a comment down below as to why that was.
But then so he couldn't get it done, so he tries on the next DRS zone, but he gets it. He got it done there. But then Vettel, he went for, obviously did the old whip-de-wop. I felt at the time he tried the old whip-de-wop, you know,
the switcheroo,
the old switcheroo, you know.
So he went to the outside. He dummied him, and then he went to the outside.
And it looked like for a second I thought Vettel might have moved, you know, twice, and maybe in the braking zone, which obviously they can't do because the Max Verstappen rule. Yeah. But like when they showed the replay, it was alright. It was just Hamilton got it done, but obviously Vettel covered the inside, so he had the Vettel had the advantage going into that corner, turn 4, but Hamilton was quicker, so obviously side by side through it, coming out of turn 4, and then it's just, you know, Hamilton's in front, he gets it done, and then it's just Vettel a bit too eager on the throttle, you said.
Yeah, it was a great battle. They had like 3 or 4 laps really going at it. In the DRS zone, Hamilton does the switcheroo on the outside, around the outside, got the job done basically. Yeah. But I think he braked proper late, but he came off the brakes because he was probably 2 or 3 car lengths behind. He came off the brakes completely and just like coasted, went straight around the outside, and then
it's a big corner. Like it's a huge, you know, it's a huge corner, and especially where they go off. You know, when you're going really quick, you see it in qualifying. They've got that little before, like there's no curb there. It's got like a little runoff area. They go into that,
And then Vettel it was too eager on the throttle, basically.
It's eager on the throttle, and then also there was a lot of wind in the race, and that really affected the cars. So
very windy race weekend in Bahrain.
Very dusty as well. You know, a lot of cars were slipping and sliding around because they couldn't really get the grip. There was a lot of dust on the track. So,
but Vettel spins. I think he drops down to. Did he lose a position? I'm not sure. Did he? I don't think he lost a position from that spin. But there was 2 lapped cars behind him, and he came. He must have got a little bit of damage from the spin because he came into that really tough corner, turn 9, turn 10.
Yeah, then into that other hairpin because there's 2 big hairpins on the track. He comes into that one, goes into the DRS zone. He gets the DRS open, and obviously, you know, DRS gives you more vibrations because, like I was saying when I said it, vibrations probably played a part. Yeah. Like I told Martin Brundle.
You did not tell Martin Brundle.
I told Martin Brundle about it. But yeah, it's, he must have had some damage already on it or something. It was a bit loose because a front wing just doesn't pop off like that.
That made for an amazing picture though.
It really did.
Even Adam, our cameraman, sent me a picture where the front wing just went under the car and the sparks. It looked like someone just like chucked a firecracker under there, and it just amazing, that's going to be the thumbnail for this video.
It's going to be the thumbnail. It was just so amazing. I didn't see, because they didn't have the camera on him at the time, because obviously it was just it happened, and suddenly like you see him going around the corner really slowly because he didn't have a front wing. But when you see the replay, he literally
I was like, holy crap! Like that was a wow moment.
Yeah.
And I just want to quickly discuss his spins. Vettel's having these spins. I thought he got it out of his system from last year. We go back to, I know it wasn't his fault, but China last year when Verstappen dive bombed. When he spins, Vettel, he used to light up the rears, just keep his foot planted down. He would spin the rear tires, smoke everywhere, just ruins your tires. Yeah. He'd done that in China. Japan, USA.
Japan was his fault, wasn't it? Like,
Japan was his fault because he went down the inside on Verstappen, chucked the title away basically.
That was when he knew. I mean, I respected him for that because he was trying the risks, because obviously he was you know, losing it already by that point.
He should have waited till the straight.
Should have waited, definitely, because he would have got it done on the straight.
This is not an F1 2018 podcast. Last year, that's so last year, man. Come on. And then USA, he also spun with Ricciardo. I think he was battling. He just has so many spins. What is going on?
For a guy who's, you know, 4-time world champion, very experienced in the sport, to be making these, I hate to say it, rookie mistakes, it's just, he shouldn't be doing it. Like, he's meant to be one of the better drivers on the grid.
He's definitely He is one of the all-time greats, whether you like it or not. Four world championships.
I respect him. He is a good driver. Yeah, I mean, even though I do say, like, well, I say 2 of the championships for Red Bull were sort of handed to him just because they were so much better, but 2 of them he had to earn, like with the first or second one, you know, Alonso.
2010,
yeah. It looked like Alonso was going to win it, and he won it with like on the last race, obviously. Yeah.
And lap 42, there was this action just kept going throughout the whole race. So many notes. Lap 42, both Renaults. I'll say Renaults. Both Renaults touch into turn 1. I think Ricciardo was defending.
Yeah, Ricciardo. So Hulkenberg got the move done on the straight, and then Ricciardo going into it, obviously just braking a bit late because it's Ricciardo. He tried to get the move done again because he had the inside, but he got it too late, locked up, and then
he lost his end plate a little bit. There wasn't too much damage. Would have affected his performance a little bit.
Yeah, it would have affected a little bit, but not too much. But he was. It was just. It was a bit of a weird one. I think he's just getting used to the car, Ricciardo. Obviously, brand new car, completely different to the Red Bull Renault from last year.
I think it was. I almost started. I think I burst out laughing when Hulkenberg came over the radio and he was like, "What happened?" It was like really high pitch. I thought he was gonna like burst out crying or something. It was like, okay, he did give him loads of room.
Crying though, like you like next thing, lap 46 when Leclerc says
the next note we have. Everyone, even non-F1 fans, were like, "Oh my god, please no!" Leclerc comes over the radio with something strange with the engine. What's happening?
It was just such a rapid decline, wasn't it? Like he says in lap 46, because you see it, like Hamilton's about 10 seconds behind. You're like, easy win for Leclerc now. He just has to coast to the end. Suddenly, you see it's 7 seconds. You're like, what? And then Leclerc comes over and he's like, what's happening? And then you're like, no, because when they come over and they say what's happening, you know that there's going to be something that they can't fix because the guy, his engineer comes over and says we're trying to figure it out. It's just like Lewis in Melbourne. What's going on? We have no idea. And
I think everyone really felt for Leclerc because he passed Vettel. He had a bad start. Let's be fair. He had a bad start, dropped down to third, but he fought back, got second. He pulled an amazing move on his teammate, and then he pulled away. Basically, controlled the whole weekend. Really, he topped a couple of practice sessions, qualifying pole.
All qualifyings, he was on top. He was just he set a new record for the lap record in qualifying. I think with his lap in Q3. Yeah, in the race he was because he got the extra point for the quickest lap. Because he got that done when he was about midway through after he pit or something. Yeah, it was.
But he pulled out a 10-second gap. I think it was about 10 or 11 seconds from Lewis.
Yeah, pretty much 11 seconds with 10 laps to go.
10 laps to go on your second of a race for Ferrari. How he must have felt terrible.
He said it like about lap 46. He said something strange is happening. They don't know what's going on. Lap 47, he's getting annoyed now. He's like, what is going on? And then lap 48, when Hamilton's about 3 seconds behind now, he comes over and says, I can't believe I'm going to cry. He said that at one point, and I was like, no, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry.
I think F1 fans around the world just pulled out the Kleenex and started wiping away the tears because it was an emotion. It was very emotional. That was an emotional race. People were like proper sad about it.
Falls on the heartstrings.
And it was pretty much game, set and match for Hamilton there. Leclerc basically lost ERS, the energy recovery system, which is Brundle always says this. He always says, it's worth about 160 horsepower, which could chug a family saloon car along really nicely. Always says that. I quite like it, but people were like, I saw a tweet once where it was like, if I ever see the family or hear the family saloon car anagram, I'm never going to watch F1 again.
Yeah, look, it's like a normal car, like what you have when you buy your first car,
What was your first car?
Well, mine was not legally, but
you don't have a license?
I don't have a license, but I was learning, and I only don't drive because I failed my theory by 1. So
I failed my theory twice, I think, by 1 mark twice.
Oh, really?
And I got it on the third time.
See, I failed it once, and that just, I didn't realise it, but it must have just demoralised me completely because I just didn't.
I'm not doing this anymore. I failed by 1 mark.
Because my sister did it at the same time, pretty much, passed by 1. How old is your sister? She's a year and a half younger than me, so she's.
Okay, we'll cut that out.
Yeah, we'll cut this out, but yeah. My first car was the old model Corsa.
Wow.
So like the 2004,
Yeah.
2005 model.
My first car was a Corsa, but it was 2007. So it was the newer model.
The newer model, yeah.
Well,
not the new model.
Not the
new
new
one.
Yeah, and the mid-range one.
Yeah, mine was the really round one.
It got a lot of bad stick, but it was a good car.
I liked mine a lot. Yeah, it was a good car.
Obviously, Corsas have a lot of bad stick, and we are completely off topic.
We are, but at the same time, we'll just cut this out. This is just for us.
I mean,
Mine had a terrible clutch.
I'm leaving this in because people seem to enjoy the last one where we just waffled about Ted Bundy. I think you went on about Ted Bundy or something.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Ted Bundy.
So we won't get onto that.
Everyone looks good in that. Also, Ted, where is he? I don't like Karun. I do not like Karun. I want Ted Kravitz back.
We mentioned that in the first podcast.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention it again. I want Ted back.
Address the camera and ask for Ted.
I want Ted. Ted, I know you're watching. Come back. Get rid of Karun, right? Karun, you're watching this. You're not good enough.
That's harsh on Karun, but we'll brush over that. We'll brush over that. Hamilton closed the gap from 10 seconds, does it on the back straight. That wasn't even a contest, didn't need DRS or anything. He put his hand up to say, like, sorry. Like, it was quite a touch of class from that, really.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean...
He knows how Leclerc, how he would have felt, because it was... He dominated the whole weekend, let's be frank. And
it was Leclerc's...
You lose the gap like that.
Yeah, it was Leclerc's race, basically. Like, it was Leclerc's show all the way through, and then...
He was dropping 5 seconds a lap to Hamilton. Verstappen was closing. He was behind Bottas. Bottas was third.
With Bottas, when he caught, because Bottas was, like, what, 15 seconds behind him? Yeah. He was closing about 7 seconds a lap when he was catching him. Like,
they must have come over the radio to Bottas and said, there's a 1-2 here.
Yeah, there was definitely a 1-2 on here. And he just went... Like, that's the only moment that we saw Bottas 2.0 again. When he's trying to catch a guy who's so slow.
Bottas turns it on when he knows the car in front is 8 seconds a lap slower. But yeah, Bottas got it done on lap 54. He got it on the main straight. I don't think he needed even DRS really.
No, I think he used DRS, but he didn't really need to. Leclerc put up a bit of a fight. Moved out a little bit, but he knew he wasn't going to get it. He wasn't going to keep the place.
Yeah. It was no contest really. Bottas was just, you're losing 160 horsepower. It was like 50 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you saw, I can't remember
much.
which corner it was, but him and, when Hamilton was still behind him, it was either Hamilton or Bottas. They come out of the same corner, obviously right behind each other, and they both get up to about 220 kilometers at the same time, and then Leclerc doesn't get any higher than 230, and then you get the Mercedes going up to 260. Yeah. And it was just, you were like, oh.
And then with the spiciness kept coming. The entertainment was throughout this race. Lap 55, with 4 laps remaining, all of a sudden we just see Hülkenberg pulling over at turn 1. Yeah. We're thinking, hang on, this is weird. There's a yellow flag.
The thing is, you see the camera shows Ricciardo pulling off first, because you see a yellow flag come out, sector 1, and you see Ricciardo going off first, and you think, oh, snap, he's out. And then you're like, oh, no, you do see Hülkenberg.
Yeah, I think Hülkenberg.
Mechanical. I got that all completely wrong there.
People are going to lose. They're going to lose faith in our trustworthiness.
Don't lose faith in our trustworthiness. Lose faith in my mind. I have the worst memory.
You need to look at your notes. I mean, I didn't even mention that in the notes. But Hülkenberg pulls over. It sounded like a pretty terminal. Proper big problem.
It was because he was.
That was technical term. Proper big problem with the engine.
Proper big problemo. Because he pulls over. When you see the replay from showing the back of the car, you see the classic bit of smoke coming out the back that is the engine gone. Like, that's how you know. So you see that happen, and then it's got the yellow flag. You're like, when I saw that, obviously I was like, oh god no, because I thought, what if it's Ricciardo, my turbo driver again? I was like, oh, not again. So I was like, saw Hülkenberg. I was like, thank god. Literally 2 seconds later, it's like me and my dad were just joking. Someone must have just pressed an off button somewhere. They just turned the computer off by accident and just went, oh no, both cars gone.
You go on board with Ricciardo and literally what you've just said happens. He literally comes out the exit of turn 1 and it just dies. And he's like, it just turned off.
It's like someone just decided, let's just cut these 2 cars. Like, we're done with both these guys.
And that basically brought out the safety car, which in turn saved Charles Leclerc, because Verstappen was closing at a rate of knots. He was going to get it. I think he was 2-3 seconds off or something like that.
Yeah, he was, at the time, he was about 3-4 seconds, or 2 to 4 seconds off him. And then the safety car comes out about, how many laps? 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go. So. And then you know it's going to go to the end. I mean, it was like a bit of touch and go towards the end. Like, is it going to go to the end?
Yeah, it was never. But
I don't think it was because
it was wishful thinking. Because no one had caught the safety car.
Yeah.
There was a Williams in the way, and like everyone was at different points on the track, and people were like, "Oh, is the safety car going to pile in?" Well, no, because Kubica's leading the race.
Yeah,
like,
Kubica's leading the race.
Kubica is in front of Hamilton. That's not happening.
Plus, like they showed it like with 2 laps to go. They got rid of Hulkenberg's car, but Ricardo, which was the one. Oh yeah, Ricardo's car, which was the car, which was the main problem because that was more in the racing line.
51 minutes. We've been going for 51 minutes. I'm gonna have fun editing this on the way home today.
You're gonna have a lot of fun.
Just cut Johnnie off mid-point.
Oh well.
Well, we'll roll with it because
We'll roll with it. This is
you
not
have
a
one
professional
job,
podcast.
Adam. You are here to film, and you are here to tell me when and where I need to
I'm
look.
making notes of things to improve.
You're making notes.
Well, that's a long list.
Oh, I've got to bleep out. I've got to bleep out now. Come on. The whole podcast we've not sworn, and you just dropped the F-bomb. Come on.
Cut this bit out too.
I'm not cutting this. We're going to leave it all in at this
No,
point.
cut
Let's
this bit.
Let's just
the
make
point?
let's just put this up live.
No, 'cause it's-
Well, we've gone live. Hello. Send your comments
This is
in.
going straight up. No,
So the clerk holds on.
yeah,
The race
right,
finishes.
because the safety car stays out because Ricardo's car doesn't get taken away in time. They weren't gonna. I didn't really think they were gonna bring the safety car in at any point. Even when it did come in, you know, when they said it was coming in on that lap, it was the last lap, and they're not exactly going to take the safety car off with one corner to go. You know,
that would have been epic.
Yeah,
But
I
probably
mean,
not going to happen, is it?
yeah, my dad was like, "Well, he's going to get him." I was like, "No, they're not going to do that." I mean, Verstappen was right behind. If they did that, he would have got him, and that would have been
That would have
the
annoyed.
biggest
So
bag-
imagine
biggest bag of
Twitter
baggery.
after that race. Twitter would have exploded, and the anti-Verstappen. Everyone loves Leclerc. Everyone hates Verstappen. Twitter would have imploded. Leclerc holds on to third. Let me just round off the top 10. So Hamilton takes the victory. Bottas makes it a 1-2. Extremely lucky. Verstappen comes home behind Leclerc in fourth. Vettel makes it back to fifth. Didn't really see too much in the highlights.
No, it was pretty straightforward. Like he went back to ninth, pit again because of it, and then it was pretty obvious on fresher tyres than all of them from ninth. He's going to catch in the Ferrari much quicker than all of those guys. So I didn't really care too much. I knew he was going to get back up to there. I knew he wasn't then going to catch Verstappen because he was so far behind. So it was fifth place was sealed as soon as he came out the pits.
Lando Norris in sixth. What performance! McLaren probably could have had a double points finish if we're being honest. But
Oh well.
anyway, I missed out in the notes. I made a complete boo-boo. Sorry, Kimmy, if you're watching. I missed you out. Seventh place for Kimi Räikkönen. Gasly home in eighth. Gasly's had a bit of a poor start to the season.
I mean, he was a strong driver for Toro Rosso, so it made sense that he was going to take over Ricciardo's seat for Red Bull, but he's just seemed to, struggle so far.
I'm not going to mention Mexico, but we met and we filmed a video. Really nice guy. Oh, he was very, very working extremely hard for Red Bull. He was working extremely hard to try and be competitive. Hasn't made it into Q3 yet.
Yeah.
He's got to start stepping up, especially in China.
He's definitely got to, because they will, well, not replace him, but they will start.
Kvyat will be straight back. The torpedo will be straight back to Red Bull. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
I mean, if they want Max to win a race, they can.
Oh,
do,
yeah.
'cause obviously, bring him back up and then drop him straight away. Max wins a race.
That is a thing when Kvyat gets demoted.
Max gets
Verstappen gets a victory. Albon in ninth for Toro Rosso. Fantastic points for him, actually.
Yeah, that was real good.
And Checo Perez rounding off the points in 10th for Racing Point. Stroll, his teammate, had a bit of a weak weekend, finishing way outside.
Very weak driver.
Controversial.
Not at all. Terrible driver. I would say that 100%.
There
I'll
is-
say that every day.
He's a good driver. He's getting better.
He's learning.
He's not as bad as people think he is, I don't think.
Yeah,
He gets bad press just because his dad bought a team. Yeah, but
He
am I
doesn't
jealous
deserve
of him?
it.
Of course. Everyone's
Yeah.
jealous of him. Like, if my dad had money to buy a team, I had this conversation with my dad the other day. He was like, if I had the money, I'd buy you a Formula One team.
My dad wouldn't.
But we don't have £20 billion to spend, so
There's only 2 billion, man. Come on.
£2 billion.
You searched that the other day.
Lawrence Stroll has a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get into the cool down room, and Hamilton was very humble.
No, before we get to that, cool down
I
lap.
know exactly what you're going to say. The cool down lap. Several things happened. Firstly, Hamilton comes on the radio and says that Leclerc basically deserves to win, and they were extremely fortunate, which they were. Very humble.
Very humble about it.
Very humble. So anyone that hates Lewis Hamilton, and my friend Matt, who just hates him for no reason.
I'm going to fight you, Matt.
Why do people hate Hamilton so much? Well, that's another podcast.
That's
another podcast.
We need a podcast
you're wearing
where
his
we just
t-shirt.
talk about these things.
You're wearing his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Another podcast episode. We'll dedicate it straight to why does he hate it so much.
Well, I think we should have a podcast like in between, like maybe in the summer, like we still do one
summer break.
halfway through. Yeah, over the summer break, we do one where it's just on. Like mid-season review and just like talking about general things like who's the rookie of the year at the time, who we think's going to win it all.
Raikkonen the world title. Woo.
What?
Cut that.
No, keep that in, but then just do my face when I just look at the camera because that's dumb. That was dumb.
The cool down lap. I didn't actually see it because I got up to get a drink. I think because I couldn't get up for a drink during the race because so much stuff happened.
So much.
So I got up for a drink and I just get a message from you saying, "Do you see Verstappen on the cool down lap? Can you just take us through what actually happened?"
Right. So cool down lap. You know, obviously you're going a bit slower. So there's been things that happen on a cool down lap before, but this just classic Max going around the hairpin.
That tricky corner.
The tricky corner. Yeah, going into the DRS zone, going up there. It is a tough corner, and cars were. You know, you get it wrong, you go off the track a little bit, you lose a lot of time. Max, though, gets it so wrong, he goes round it, spins. Cool down lap. He's go around the corner, and he spins. I couldn't stop laughing.
That was a very funny moment. I saw it on the highlights. Oh, no, they cut it out of the highlights, but I saw a video on Twitter of him just... It was literally like 10 miles an hour coming around the corner, and then all of a sudden everyone thought he was doing donuts to celebrate coming fourth.
No,
but when Renault's retired, they actually stopped Red Bull getting a podium. That's a conspiracy theory. Cyril just went, nope, just turning off because they saw Verstappen would get a podium with Honda.
Love Cyril.
If you haven't seen the Netflix Drive to Survive series, very good, great series. If you're not into F1, please watch that. You'll probably follow.
Yeah.
Like I've heard a lot of people watch that weren't even into F1, and now they're watching the races.
And you will fall in love with Gunther Steiner.
Gunther Steiner he did steal the show. The Haas team principal stole the show.
Oh yeah.
And driver of the day was Leclerc.
Definitely.
And
he only got 50% of the votes, though, and I felt like he deserved. Right, to me, deserved 100%. Like there was no question he was driver of the day.
I feel like driver of the day is a little bit of a gimmick because I remember when it got introduced at the first, like Rio Haryanto, like got driver of the day like 4 times in a row, and he retired on like lap 2. Everyone was just abusing that a little bit too much.
Obviously,
it's a cool feature. Fair play, but
I mean, it's a fan vote, but obviously they decided as well, just like the NBA do a fan vote for the All-Star game, they kind of take over though. Like half of the votes are fan votes, the rest is done by the league. It'll be the same there. The half of it will be the FIA going.
It's like Arsenal fans. Whenever Sport Bible put out a post, they always vote. Like Arsenal fans just jump on the bandwagon and vote for Ozil, best player in the world, which he's not. That's another podcast topic.
Don't you start, Hull.
Actually, we were thinking of this. We talked about this the other day about setting up a podcast, the Unbiased podcast series. I think the first 3 episodes I'll upload F1. I'll upload on my channel. There's a little bit of an audience on there.
And then I think
we'll set up a channel eventually.
We'll get it done. The Unbiased channel.
An Unbiased podcast channel, just different sports. You should leave a comment down below what sports. Doesn't even have to be sports. Like
it can be
anything.
I quite like
politics. There's a lot of well, I mean, maybe you're not into politics, but
Brexit.
There's a lot of crap going on with Brexit at the moment, which
no one's even in charge anymore.
It's quite juicy. That's another podcast. That is completely off topic. Anyway, who's your driver of the day?
Well, Leclerc is my driver of the day. Yeah, Leclerc all the way.
Not Stroll. No, Leclerc is driver. Leclerc is driver of the day.
100%. I mean, he deserved the race win. He was. I mean, even though it was his fault that it happened, you know, it was still his to win, and it was just obviously the strain of the turbo in the ERS couldn't keep up with how hard he was pushing at the start. Because I was going to say he's going to have to pit much earlier than everyone else because of he was pushing so hard. Like I thought he was going to have to go for a 2-stopper anyway because he was pushing so hard, get those tyres like done quick. But yeah,
I think Norris is another mention for driver of the day. But those two had phenomenal races, and we leave Bahrain and we go to the 1,000th race of Formula One. 1,000 races, that's a lot, in China, which is notoriously a really good race.
that is in the past has been really interesting.
So this year is going to be absolutely crazy, like Bahrain was.
The track China as well really suits the Ferrari, doesn't it? More because it's a lot of tough turns, which the Mercedes obviously isn't as good in the corners as the Ferrari. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it could hopefully be another. I would like to see Leclerc dominate again and actually get a win this time.
Will Bottas 2.0 return?
No.
Let us know in the comments.
No.
I think Alonso will come out of retirement and take the.
We'll talk about
once
that.
he's got the triple crown, he'll come out of retirement and just destroy everybody.
He's going to get the triple crown this year.
He's testing
And
actually.
He's testing
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
As we're filming this on Monday, he's testing maybe tomorrow and
I think
Wednesday.
Or, yeah, they're testing this week sometime. He's jumping in the car. Mick
good to
is-
see him back. Good to
Yeah.
see Fernando back.
It was inevitable that he was going to come back. I think he'll come back for a race because I think what he's done now is he's taken a look at the McLaren car and gone, I've made a big mistake because they're actually good again.
McLaren
now.
were very good this weekend.
Like he if he was driving the car this year, again another controversial thing. You could take I'm going to say it again. He'd get a podium this year. Fernando would have a podium this year. if
And
he
that
was in
we're
the
going
car.
to end it on that. Fernando would get a podium if he was in a McLaren. What do you think to that? That's going to be the 6-second soundbite I'm going to put on my story
Do
and
it.
get a lot of people abusing you again.
And then the whole context of it is that it will be Baku where anything can happen. That's where he'll get the podium.
Yeah, even Stroll got a podium there.
Lance Stroll got pretty much second place there. So
Anyway, thank you for watching, listening, wherever you're from. Leave a comment. I think this episode was much better than the last one.
we kept on topic most of the time.
Most of the time.
Very interesting race.
A little bit at the time. Not much.
Adam has a whole list of notes though.
There's a whole list of
So-
notes where we can improve, so we will do that.
We'll
And
look over them. Probably not take them on board, but yeah.
next race, China, 1,000th race. Make sure you tune in for that one, which is in 2 weeks' time, I believe.
So we're definitely going to be making a third now.
I think we'll be doing a third.
I do really enjoy these podcasts.
I enjoyed
so,
this
yeah,
one. This was better than the last
this was
one.
much better. So yeah.
Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you next time.
Stay loving Lewis.
We're not meant to be biased.
Oh yeah.